Focaccia is maybe one of the easiest breads to make. It's also the perfect vessel to scrape the remnants of your pasta bowl or just eat as a snack. And looking at this right now is making my mouth start to water, so let's get going. The first ingredient you're going to need is warm water. You want this to be just above body temperature. If you want to be more precise, use a thermometer to measure between 105 and 110 Fahrenheit. To the warm water, add 2 teaspoons of honey. If you don't have honey, you can also use sugar, and then mix it all together until it's dissolved. Also, I want to mention, if you have a stand mixer, first of all, lucky you, and second of all, you can do all of this in the bowl of your stand mixer. Sprinkle your active dry yeast onto the water and then give it a little mix. At the grocery store, you'll often see little packets of yeast that are pre-measured. This measurement of yeast is one of those packets. Now you need to let the yeast activate in the water. This will take a couple minutes. Our footage here is sped up, but you can see how many little bubbles need to form on the surface. If these bubbles don't form, then I'm sorry to tell you, but your yeast is dead. So again, if you're using a stand mixer, this will all happen in the bowl of the stand mixer. And then the next steps, which are to add the dry ingredients, will happen gradually with the dough hook attachment on. But if you're not so lucky to have a stand mixer, just take a large clean bowl and add your all-purpose or plain flour to that. And this recipe is super simple because the only other dry ingredient to add is flaky sea salt. Once the flour and salt are combined, you can pour in the yeast mixture and then a 1/4 cup of olive oil. And folks, that's it for the dough. Just use your hands to mix it all together. Also, don't worry, we definitely used clean hands to mix this. Sometimes it's just the best to get your hands in there and get a feel for the dough. Also, it's really fun, and if you've never done it, you need to try it. So it will be a bit of a sticky dough, and that's totally fine. Once it comes together a little bit, you can bring it out onto a clean surface and then start kneading. And you can see here the dough is still quite tacky, which means it was time to sprinkle on a little more flour. So the process of kneading is basically just stretching the dough flat on your surface, then pulling it back over itself and stretching again. It's sort of hard to explain in words, so it's maybe just best to watch the video. You only have to knead for about 5 minutes though, then fold all the edges towards the center to form it into a rough ball. It might still be a little bit tacky, but don't worry about that as long as it's not fully sticking to your fingers when you touch it. Now the dough needs to rise, so in a large bowl, add a good glug of olive oil and spread it around with your hands. Once your bowl is nicely greased up, add your ball of dough. Then what you need to do is roll the dough around in the bowl so it gets fully coated in the olive oil. Place a clean kitchen towel over top and let it rise in a warm place. I like to put it on the windowsill in the sun, or you can just put it in the warmest place of your house. And it needs to rise for about 1 hour. And this next part is maybe my favorite part of making any sort of bread. I just find it so satisfying punching the air out of the dough. Even watching this back, I feel so relaxed. It's the little things, you know? Okay, sorry about that. Let's get back to it. After you've got all the air out of the dough, transfer to a lightly floured surface. From here, we're just going to flatten the dough slightly. You don't need to roll it out, you don't need to stretch it too far, just push it into a rough rectangle. On second thought, maybe this is more of a circle. Circle, square, rectangle, whatever, just stretch it out slightly and you'll be fine. So now we're adding some toppings, which are actually going to be more like mix-ins because it's going to be mixed right into the dough. If you don't like sun-dried tomatoes or olives, don't freak out. Don't click away, that's totally fine. You can use anything else that you like. Some other tasty options might be fresh herbs, caramelized onions, or cherry tomatoes. Okay, so once you have all of the mix-ins added onto the dough and it's spread out evenly, fold all the edges of the dough towards the center, like a little package with all your mix-ins inside. You don't want to knead it, you don't want to stretch it, you just want to make sure that the dough isn't going to fall apart and have all those mix-ins fall out. Once you think you have a pretty solid ball, just add a little bit more flour on top, then cover with the same kitchen towel and let rise again, this time for only 20 minutes. I know sometimes making bread at home can feel a little daunting, what with all the resting and the rising and the kneading and the baking, but if you really think about it, it's pretty hands-off. While the dough rises, rests, and bakes, you can do all sorts of other activities. Okay, I'm getting off track again, back to the baking. Transfer the dough to a lightly greased baking sheet. Now you're going to use your fingertips to massage that dough. And when I say massage, I mean massage. You're going to press your fingertips into the dough and gently stretch it out to form it into a rectangle. And when you press down, you want to press down pretty far, almost all the way down to the pan. And what's a massage without oil, so drizzle a good amount of olive oil all over the dough. Then you just need to press the dough with your fingertips a couple more times to help distribute the olive oil, and we're ready for toppings. We went with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Now of course, freshly grated quality Parmesan is going to be the best, but I'm also not going to judge you if you buy pre-grated. I know how expensive Parmesan can be, and also you're the one eating it, not me, so do whatever you want. We also added more of the chopped sun-dried tomatoes and Kalamata olives. We ended up using about 1 cup of each, but if you ask me, you can never have too many olives. Finally, we topped the focaccia with fresh rosemary. These are the leaves from about 1 sprig of rosemary, but you can add more if you like. And now it's baking time. Pop in a preheated 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. When it comes out, it will be golden brown and delicious, and your house is going to smell amazing. Then top it with more freshly grated Parmesan and some more sun-dried tomatoes. You might need to wait a couple minutes just to let it cool enough so you can handle it, but you definitely want to eat it warm. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, click on one of these. Also hit that like button and subscribe for more awesome recipes.